The story opens on a gloomy night scene, filled with a deadly atmosphere. In the forest, a figure with a sword is running for his life. He is clutching something in his arms that looks like a child. Behind him, two other people are in hot pursuit. The young man, taking advantage of their opening turns and slashes with his sword. The two don't have time to react, and are cut down by him just like that. Another middle-aged man runs up from behind and yells, "Give up and hand that child over to me." The young man gritted his teeth and replied, "I would rather die than hand him over. What crime has this child even committed?" He then turned and continued to flee. The group refused to give up, continuing their pursuit to the end. The young man ran for a while longer, and seeing his opponent still chasing him, he stopped once more. By now his face was drenched in sweat. The man charging at him roared, "You bastard!" The young man hurriedly raised his sword to block the man's rain of sword strikes. He gritted his teeth and seized the opportunity, swinging his sword to strike the man. Blood splattered everywhere. Without hesitation, he turned and fled again. Seeing this, the middle-aged man behind him roared, "You refuse to do this the easy way, so you'll do it the hard way. If you hand over that child, I will spare your life." He quickly caught up to the young man. The young man had no other choice but to turn and raise his sword to defend himself. Both men dug their heels in, straining to hold their ground. The middle-aged man's long sword quickly thrust forward again. The young man parried while actively retreating. Soon a blow landed on his shoulder, causing fresh blood to spray out. But he was no pushover, swinging his sword in a counterattack and striking his opponent in return. This one strike of his dealt damage, far greater than what he had received. A long sword wound appeared across the middle-aged man's chest, causing blood to gush out. His whole body was trembling. He immediately collapsed to his knees. The young man stood there with a dark expression. He watched, not rushing to make a move. Although defeated, the middle-aged man gritted his teeth and spoke. "It is not too late." "Hand over that child now, Lu Min," the young man replied. "I and this child will disappear from the martial world. Uncle, I will hide him until the day I die. So please let me go." The middle-aged man shouted, trying to persuade him, but Lu Min paid him no mind and turned to leave. "Please give my father a message that this Thien Lu Min is already dead." The middle-aged man lowered his head in sadness. "I will tell him, but, Manor Lord." Lu Min ignored what he was about to say and walked away quickly. Then he once again leaped away using his qinggong. The day my father carried me to Vinyan village was a snowy day. It was truly fortunate. Back then, the villagers welcomed my father warmly. Perhaps it was because they saw the dried blood, staining his clothes along with the iron sword at his hip. Or maybe they took pity on the child, lying in my father's arms. And during the 3 years we settled in Vinyan village, every time I fell asleep, my father would repeat the same words like a lullaby. "In the future, have a dream and make it come true. I gave up my dream to earn your mother's love, and I left everything behind to save you. I even abandoned my own family. To this day, I have no regrets about it. But I do have one small regret. If only I did not have to give up anything at all. How wonderful it would have been if that were the case. If only you had been an ordinary child, how good that would have been. I will tell him, but Manor Lord." Lu Min ignored what he was about to say and walked away quickly. Then he once again leaped away, using his qinggong. The day my father carried me to Vinyan village was a snowy day. My father's gaze would get especially hazy whenever he spoke of the giant ginkgo tree in his hometown. One evening, my father and I were hugging and talking inside our home. "Lu Ngok, what is my name?" "Thien Lu Min, and mother's name is Tulian Ngok." "That's right. You're a good boy, don't forget." "You must never forget." 2 days after my father held me tight and said those words, he passed away. I had just turned 4 years old at the time. All I had was a dilapidated house, a few useless belongings, and the names of my father and mother. My father's name was Thien Lu Min, my mother's name was Tulian Ngik, and my name is Thien Lu Ngok. "Why did you have to die so soon, father? Please come back. They say if you make a wish on a shooting star, that wish will come true." But that was just a lie, because every night I looked up at the sky and prayed. But my father never came back. Lu Ngok sat and thought for a long while, then stood up and dusted himself off. "I think someone new moved in a few days ago. I have to go check it out." After my father passed away, the villagers took turns looking after me. I only found out later that my father had asked them to take what he left behind in exchange for taking care of me. When I turned 5, everyone started making me work. From that point on, nothing was free anymore. If I didn't do chores for them, I would starve. As soon as Lu Ngoc entered the village, he was yelled at. You little bastard. Nothing in this world is free. Everything your father left has already been spent. On you. Now even, this house isn't yours anymore. So get lost and sleep somewhere else. In the end, Lu Ngoc was kicked out of his own home. From that day on, he started to see the Bat Cave as his home. Lying in the Bat Cave with his feet up, he said, These bats are too noisy, I can't get any sleep. Can you guys please be quiet for a bit? I need to get some sleep. The bats hanging from the cave ceiling clearly showed their annoyance, as if to say, This is our house. You're the one trespassing, yet you're complaining. Lu Ngoc sat up, holding his head in frustration. In the end, I can't raise my voice at anyone but you guys. Morning came to the village. It was bustling with people coming and going. Lu Ngoc was also walking around aimlessly. Behind him, a few kids were secretly watching. They then started to taunt him. Ngchuk, look who it is. Isn't that the beggar from the Bat Cave? What are you doing here? Lu Ngoc replied calmly. I came here to find something to eat. The strong kids in the village often liked to proudly show off their strength to him. They walked up and blocked his way, saying, We don't have anything to eat either. You bastard. So get lost, you damn beggar. Lu Ngoc replied sadly. I haven't eaten anything all day. The other boy angrily raised his fist and shouted, That's your problem. Right after that, Lu Ngoc was punched in the face by him, but it didn't stop there. He raised his foot again and kicked him right in the stomach. Lu Ngoc knelt on the ground in agony, groaning nonstop. It was extremely painful. Despite their threats to beat him and chase him away, he remained very firm. As soon as I find some food, I will leave. That kid yelled out, growing even more furious. This bastard is so stubborn. The whole group immediately rushed in and beat him furiously. You damn little bastard. Today we'll teach you some respect. Lu Ngoc took the beating, lying helplessly on the ground, telling himself that he could endure it. Even if I am strong, I can't fight back against them. Because if I hit them, the adults won't let me off the hook. Just like what happened back then. A memory from the past flashed through his mind. A woman hugging her child tightly confronted him. Why did you hit my son? Don't give him any more food. That was when he realized he was just an orphan, and that no one wanted him. After having their fill of beating him, the kids left. If there's a next time, we'll break your bones. Now get lost. Lu Ngoc got up, dusted himself off, and sighed. You don't have to tell me. One day I'll definitely get out of this place. When I can make a living for myself, I'll leave. He then continued walking into the village. As he was walking, he came across a brother and sister. He watched them, thinking to himself, Looks like they just moved here. The older brother approached him and asked, Do you live in this village? I'm Quan and Hawk. Let's be friends. Lu Ngoc was stunned to hear this, and pointing at himself, he stammered, I'm Lu Ngoc, but I'm a beggar. Quan Nak and his sister laughed cheerfully, not looking bothered at all. My mother told me not to judge others by their appearance. Tan Ni exclaimed excitedly, This big brother is even more handsome than my own. Lu Ngoc scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Do you two really want to be friends with me? I'm telling you again, I'm a beggar. Quan Nak happily nodded. Of course. Seeing this, Lu Ngoc also nodded happily. All right. And on that day, he made some real friends. The three of them then cheerfully went for a walk around town. The kids in the village were confused seeing them so happy. Why is Quan and Hawk always playing with that beggar? Doesn't Tong Nai hate beggars too? Maybe we should go and scold Quan Nak. Knock some sense into him. The kid next to him immediately retorted, Are you crazy? Quan Nak's mother is the daughter of a high-ranking official. If you scold Quan and Hawk, your father will be killed. The boy in blue scratched his head in fear. Then that's no good, the other kid continued. That guy really makes people hate him. Meanwhile, Quan and Hawk said to Lu Ngoc, Let me teach you how to read Lu Ngoc. Seeing Lu Ngoc so excited, Quan Nak confirmed once again. Of course, Tan Ni also exclaimed happily. Brother Quan and Hawk knows a lot of characters. Lu Ngoc excitedly pointed to himself. That's great. Please teach me how to read. Quan Nak pointed behind him and replied, Then let's go to the riverbank. We can write the characters in the sand. A little later, the three of them were at the riverbank, beginning the task of learning to read. Quan and Hawk, holding a stick, began to draw on the sand. First, your name. Lu Ngoc looked at the characters written there and marveled. So this is my name? Quan Nak raised the stick and asked your parents' names. Lun Gok didn't hide anything and replied cheerfully. My father is Tien Lu Min, and my mother is to Lien Ngok. Quan Nak immediately touched the stick to the ground. I see Tien Lu Min and To Lien Ngok. The names of Lun Gok's family of 3 were then written next to each other. Quan Nak pointed to each character and explained, This is your father's name, and this one is your mother's name. Lun Gok was so moved that he started crying. Thank you, Quan Nak. Than Ni was confused, his brother Lun Ngok crying. That day he learned 9 characters. This was the first day he had ever learned to write, and it was also the day he saw a whole new world. Night fell at the familiar bat cave. Lun Gok used something to practice writing on the cave wall. He mumbled to himself as he wrote, Tien Lu Min, to Lien Ngok Tien Lu Ngok. This is my father's name, and next to it is my mother's, and finally my own name. The little bats were astonished. They chattered among themselves in their own language. He's pretty impressive, huh? To think a beggar knows how to write. A smile crept onto Lun Gok's lips. I can do anything for Quan Nak and Than Nai, no matter how dangerous it might be. Time flew by and soon a year had passed. The friendship between the 3 of them grew even closer. They were happily strolling through the streets, when suddenly a voice called out, Let's have a little chat. They turned around to see the kids who always bullied them. Lun Gok. Quan and Hak suspiciously asked them what they wanted. They replied, Not you, Quan Nak. I have something to say to Lun Gok. Annoyed Lun Gok stepped forward and called out to them. If you have something to say, spit it out. The one in green sneered. You bastards, still as arrogant as ever, huh? Lun Gok paid him no mind and asked again. What is it that you really want with me? The one in green smirked. The other kids say they want to have a match with you. Lun Gok immediately refused I don't fight. The one in green didn't give him a chance to refuse. Today I'll allow it. Lun Gok immediately stood in front of the 2 siblings. Than Ni gritted her teeth and glared at the kids. If you have a problem, take it up with me. Leave Quan and Hak and Than Nai out of this. The boy in blue added, Hey Than Ni, you shouldn't be playing with that beggar. You should be playing with us. Than Ni answered in fear. I don't want to. I want to play with brother Lun Gok. The kid smirked, scratching his head. I bet you know why you're getting beaten up, don't you? Lun Gok gritted his teeth, cursing inwardly. These damn bastards. The boy in blue continued to provoke him. If you've got the guts, then try and hit me. It's because your parents won't allow it, isn't it? In that case, I'll just have to hit you. With that, he lunged forward. He immediately punched Lun Ngok, making him spit blood. He cursed viciously with every punch. I guess I have to punch you a few times to knock some sense into you. Right. Seeing this, the Quan and Hak siblings were extremely worried. Brother, what should we do? Lun Ngok wiped the blood from his mouth, and at the same time waved a hand to reassure them. You 2 just stay right there. I will handle this myself. His expression had now become more determined. He no longer allowed his opponent to just hit him, but raised his hands to block, while actively retreating to dodge. The other kid crossed his arms and sneered. Dao Min trains martial arts at the Hak Fu Vo Quan. No matter how strong you are, you'll never be able to beat him. Dao Min attacked, chasing after him. Lun Gok cried out loudly, Why don't you throw a punch? I'm already giving you permission. While blocking the opponent's attacks, he thought to himself, I just have to endure the pain. If I just wait, an opportunity will surely come. Seeing his opponent's fist about to strike again, his expression couldn't help but tense up. At the critical moment, he managed to duck and dodge just in time. This time he found an opening to throw a punch, wanting to counterattack. When Dao Min saw his fist coming, he was horrified. There was no way for him to dodge it. Just like that, he took a punch to the face and was sent flying with a bloody nose. It didn't stop there as soon as he hit the ground. Lun Gok immediately jumped on top of him. Seeing this, the other 2 rushed over. Hurry, stop him over here. Lun Gok grabbed Dao Min's neck tightly with one hand and picked up a nearby rock with the other. He raised the rock high, ready to smash it into Dao Min's head at any moment. He shouted at the 2 kids charging toward him, Stop! Seeing this, they were terrified and didn't dare to act rashly for a moment. Lun Gok continued to scream, If you keep giving me trouble, I will smash this guy's head open. Being choked, Dao Min trembled with fear. Lun Gok screamed even more frantically. If you ever mess with me or Quan and Hawk again. I will crush your skulls. Got it. Terrified Dao Min didn't dare to object. He could only keep his mouth shut. From behind, Quan and Hawk spoke up to stop him. That's enough, Loon Gok. Loon Gok gritted his teeth and threatened them again. Remember my words and do not forget this day. Dao Min stammered that he understood. Loon Gok then stood up and let him go. He turned and walked back toward Quan and Hawk and the others. You two are surprised, aren't you? Let's get going. Tang Ni smiled happily. I knew brother Loon Gok would win. On the way back, Quan and Hawk asked Loon Gok, Hey, do you realize that you've changed? Loon Gok replied, I'm not sure, but other people seem to be becoming wary of me. I don't know why they're like that either. I don't know when it started, but you began to change. You weren't practicing any special techniques, but your body became stronger and more agile. The strange thing was you could sense danger that others could not perceive. Quan Hawk continued, It seems to me that you have a natural-born sense. Loon Gok was puzzled. A natural-born sense. Quan Hawk stroked his chin thoughtfully. I don't remember where I read it, but I'm sure I've read about it before. Loon Gok asked again, Is that a good thing? Quan and Hawk nodded, Of course it is. This ability is quite special. Loon Gok continued sadly. When the elders in the village see me, it's as if they're looking at a demon. He recalled the insults from the villagers. That Loon Gok, he can see things from the future, just like those sorcerers. I heard he lives in the bat cave. Or maybe he's been possessed by a bat demon. Should we really let someone like him possessed by a bat demon stay in our village? Hearing him recount the story, the two siblings, Tan Ni couldn't help but laugh. Haha, those people really don't know anything. Brother Quan Hak is right, Loon Gok. How could you possibly be possessed by a demon? Loon Gok scratched his head and smiled. That's right, Quan Hak is right. You're really smart, Quan and Hak. Back then he couldn't understand what that power was. He just felt very happy that because of this ability, he could protect his friends. The summer of the following year. The usual hot days had caused the ground to crack. But then one day in June, a brilliant flash of lightning suddenly lit up the gloomy darkness, followed by a torrential downpour. When the villagers saw the rain, they ran outside to celebrate. It's finally raining. We thank the heavens. Loon Gok in his cave on the mountain also peeked his head out to see. His expression was the complete opposite of the villagers. He was not happy, but his face was filled with worry. It is raining too much, this is really dangerous. Quan Hawk's house is on high ground, so it should be fine, right? For some reason he suddenly felt a chill. The sense of danger was getting closer, making it impossible for his heart to be at ease. He did not hesitate any longer running out into the rain. He ran straight into the village, shouting to warn everyone, It is getting very dangerous. Everyone quickly moved to higher ground. The villagers were confused when they heard him yelling. What is wrong with that guy? It has not rained in so long, he must be crazy. He ran to a spot and stopped shouting urgently. It is dangerous. But in response he was met with scolding. You are being so noisy. If you have nothing to do, then go to sleep. Loon Gok ran off again. Quan and Hawk's house is on high ground, so it should be fine, right? Very quickly he ran to the outside of Quan Hawk's house. This place is indeed high up, but I still cannot feel at ease. He rushed to the door and knocked, calling for the two people in Quan and Hawk's house. Quan Hak, it is me, Loon Gok, please, open the door. After calling for a while with no answer, he grew even more worried. It seems they cannot hear me. That makes sense. It is raining so heavily right now. Moreover, with the thunder and lightning, how could they possibly hear? He stopped calling, turned around and left. This place is located on high ground, so it should be fine. He trudged back to his cave step by step. The heavy rain and lightning continued to rage down, showing no signs of letting up. Before long, floodwaters had engulfed the village. Only then did they begin to panic, evacuating to their rooftops. The entire village was submerged in a sea of water. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Panicked Loon Gok ran down the mountain again to search for his two friends. At Quan Hawk's house, he and his mother now found themselves in a very critical situation. The woman urgently gave orders, telling him to take his sister and run outside. Don't worry about your mother, you two just go first. Seeing the two siblings hesitating like that, she screamed, Did I teach you to die with me? Do you want your little sister to die here too? Quan Nak had no other choice. He could only grab his sister and run outside. The roof quickly began to collapse. Seeing this, Quan and Hawk and his sister cried out for their mother. Covered in blood, the woman lay in the rubble, but she still struggled to tell them to run away. Quan Nak witnessed with his own eyes his mother losing her life in the flood, something the two siblings could not accept. The floodwaters rose higher and higher, about to swallow them both. Just at that moment, Loongok poked his head in from outside and called out. He quickly grabbed Quan Enak's hand and pulled him. "Hurry up! Any slower and we won't get out of here." Quan Enhok snapped out of it. "If you get swept away by the current, both Tan Nai and you will die. Come on, we have to get higher." After a long struggle, the three of them finally managed to climb up a cliff, temporarily escaping the floodwaters. Quan Hak and his sister knelt there, staring blankly at the water, wailing over the loss of their mother. Loongok also gritted his teeth, blaming himself. "I'm so sorry, you two. If only I had gotten here sooner, then this wouldn't have happened. I should have just waited a little longer earlier." After some time passed, that catastrophic rain finally stopped. The floodwaters receded, revealing a village that was completely devastated. The survivors gathered in a daze, wailing loudly. "You cruel heavens, give me back my son." Loongok sat to the side, lost in his own thoughts. There are no heavens here, and even if there were sooner or later, people are all destined to die anyway. I've always been alone, so I'll be fine. But what about Quan Hak and Tan Nai? Just then Tan Ni was swept into the water. Loongok immediately rushed towards her, seeing the villagers just standing there hesitating. He rushed forward and grabbed the rope from their hands. He yelled, "Why are you all just standing there? Give it to me. I'll do it." Quan Anak called out his name in worry. But Loongok showed no fear at all. He wrapped the rope around his arm and replied, "Don't worry, I'm a good swimmer." Right after that, he leaped into the floodwaters. He swam frantically, filled with a powerful resolve. "I have to save her. I must save her. I can do this. I have to do this. For my friends and for myself." Meanwhile, Tan Ni was still clinging to a tree branch, crying out in desperation. Just then, the branch started to break. Loongok watched in horror. Gritting her teeth, Tan Ni cried, "Loongok, I'm so scared." Loongok reached out his hand and shouted, "You little scaredy cat. Grab my hand quick." Tan Ni shot back, "I'm not scared." Loongok kept urging her to reach out her hand. Just as the branch snapped, Loongok caught her hand. Loongok pulled her close, comforting her. "It's all right, everything is okay now." He then shouted to the villagers to pull the rope. At that moment, a large log came rushing towards them in the current. Loongok couldn't avoid it. He was struck by the log just like that. Meanwhile, the villagers were pulling Tan Ni to safety. Was terrified when he saw this. On the shore, Quan Enak had already tied a rope around himself, wanting to go down and save Loongok. He struggled in the water, shouting a warning. "Don't come down here, it's too dangerous." But ignoring everything, Quan Nak paid no attention at all and leaped into the current. Not far away, on the mountain trail, a horse-drawn carriage was stopped. The old man inside the carriage stroked his beard and remarked, "These kids are truly amazing." Down below, after a struggle, Quan Nak finally managed to save Loongok. This old man was the grand elder of the Tien Vuong Jiao. Traken, I almost regretted listening to you and not taking this road. Fong Bok, between those two lads, which one do you prefer? The man named Fong Bok observed thoughtfully, not answering. Seeing this, Truong Tien Kung continued, "It must be the first child, right?" Fong Bok nodded in confirmation. Truong Tien Kung immediately gave an order after that. "Track and quickly bring those children here. That girl too, I will take them back to Tien Vuong Koch." Track An was the young coachman outside. As soon as he gave the order, he used his ching gong and flew off. Over here, Than Ni was rushing over to Quan and Hok and Loongok. Loongok put his arm around Quan and Hok's neck and said cheerfully, "You kid, aren't you afraid of dying? For you to jump straight down like that." Quan Hak also replied happily, "We are friends, aren't we?" Just then Track An landed, startling all three of them. He didn't say much, just raised his hand and flicked something. Loongok and the others had no time to react at all, and were hit by something shot at them. All three of them fell unconscious, collapsing on the spot. Swoosh! He then took the kids and left this place. At his command, the carriage set off once again. The scene shifts to the Dien Co Vien of the Tien Vuong Jiao. Someone is kneeling, reporting something to the director. He was shocked after hearing the report. The Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao brought back 3 children. The person nodded in confirmation. Yes, director. The director asked again, what are they like? The person explained. One of the 2 young boys seems very smart and clever. That boy personally wrote his own name at the Tho Men Duong. His handwriting was very neat and tidy, not at all like that of a child his age. Can our institute accept that child? The director stroked his beard thoughtfully. Where are the children now? The person replied. They are waiting to enter the valley at the Tho Men Duong. The director thought to himself. If they are talented children, I absolutely cannot hand them over to the Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao of the Ba Vuong Dien. Thinking this, he spoke out loud. If you felt the need to mention it, that child must not be bad. It would be fine to let him become Tung Mao's adopted son. The scene shifts to Lu Ngok. He jolted up from his daze. He kept looking left and right, confused and unsure of where he was. After a moment, he calmed down and looked at the old man in front of him. He quickly recalled what had happened before. He had seen this old man while he was drowsy in the carriage. At that time only he had woken up while the 2 Tan Nai siblings were unconscious. As soon as he sat up, Truong Tien Kung spoke. He is Fong Bok. From now on, he will be the one to take care of you. Lun Gok looked doubtfully at the one-legged old man beside him. He thought to himself, this person is going to adopt me. Just eating and drinking looks difficult for him. It's a miracle he's not sick. And yet that person says he's going to take care of me. At that time only he had woken up, while the 2 Tan Nai siblings were both unconscious. As soon as he sat up, Truong Tien Kung spoke. He is Fong Bok. From now on, he will be the one to take care of you. Lun Gok looked doubtfully at the one-legged old man beside him. He thought to himself, this person is adopting me. Just eating and drinking looks difficult for him. It is a miracle he is not sick. And yet that person says he's going to take care of me. When he found out that the old man Fong Bok couldn't even speak, it made him even more confused. While he was lost in thought, he collapsed onto the floor and passed out again. After all, you have a long journey ahead, so you should get some more rest. Recalling all of this, Lun Gok realized this was not a dream. Ngok saw Fong Bok move up ahead, and he began to wonder. Since he cannot speak, does he communicate through gestures? Fong Bok waved his hand, signaling for him to come over. Lun Gok immediately got out of bed to approach him. But when he saw that he wasn't wearing a single scrap of clothing, he blushed with embarrassment. Where are my clothes? Fong Bok quickly brought him a set of clothes. He simply tossed them onto the bed for him, then turned and walked outside. After putting on the clothes, Lun Gok chased after him, saying, My name is Tien. Seeing him continue to walk, Lun Gok asked, Sir, why did you bring me here? Did you bring me here to be your servant? I will do anything you want. Just please release Quan En Hak and Than Ni. Fong Bok stopped and gestured in response. I did not bring you here to make you work. Lun Gok was confused. You didn't bring me here to work. He asked again, Can you read? Lun Gok replied, I know a little. Quan En Hak taught me. Fong Bok continued to ask him, How much have you learned? Lun Gok explained, I can read ordinary books without any difficulty. But the more difficult books are still a bit challenging for me. Fong Bok seemed a little surprised to hear that. He gestured again. Get dressed and follow me. After all, if you are not accepted into the valley, you will have to leave this place immediately. A moment later outside, Lun Gok was neatly dressed. He trailed along behind Fong Bok. He walked lost in thought. The man's gait looked a little strange, but his body was very steady. Let's see now. And so with a mind full of thoughts, he continued to follow the man. Not far away, a few people were secretly watching and judging them. What a couple of lunatics. They seem like a good match, don't they? Who is that kid? This is the first time I've ever seen him. Then they started to taunt them. Hey, Fong Bok, is that your son? I heard he's broken down there. What son? Seeing Fong Bok suddenly turn his head, Lun Gok was startled. I am truly sorry. Fong Bok paid them no mind and turned to walk away again. A while later at Ba Vuong Dien, Lun Gok and the man had now arrived. They entered a room together. Truong Tien Kung saw them enter, and he spoke up to ask, Do you know who I am and where you are? Lun Gok shook his head. I do not know. He thought to himself, I am not a god, so how would I know where this is? Truong Tien Kung asked again, Do you want to become stronger? Lun Gok immediately replied, A beggar like me. Can someone like me really become stronger? Truong Tien Kung nodded. You just have to become a member of the Tien Vuong Jiao. We do not care about your background here. Lun Gok immediately knelt down. Then what must I do to gain that power? Truong Tien Kung stroked his beard as he looked at the boy. If I give you power, then for me, Truong Tien Kung, will you do anything I ask? You will have to do certain things whenever I wish. Fong Bok was thinking to himself off to the side. Is he planning to take this boy as his disciple? But I really like this child. Lun Gok replied in a loud voice. Knowing how to give and take is the principle of being human. As long as you wish it, old senior, I will do it. Truong Tien Kung asked again. To obtain power, you will have to endure a horrific pain. You could even die, can you bear it? Lun Gok gritted his teeth and thought to himself, isn't it true that up until now, I have always had to live in pain? I have fought against hunger, against loneliness, and also against pain, all throughout these past days. During those days I was all alone, until Quan Anak and Dan Ni appeared 3 years ago. Can I die? My life has been close to death many times already. To others that might be something new. But for me, every single one of my days is spent on the line between life and death. Thinking this, he spoke with determination. I can do it. No matter how painful it is, I can endure it. As long as I can gain power, I will be able to live the life I want. A moment later, Fong Bok and Lun Gok had left Truong Tien Kung's place. As soon as they stepped outside, they ran into the Ba Vuong Tam Lao Kong. The old man chuckled and spoke. Ha ha. Is this the child that the Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao brought back? Fong Bok raised his hand to confirm. The Western old man laughed and commented. Making him sweep the front yard is the perfect first task. The other old man also spoke up. His bones are really sturdy. Fong Bok explained this is the child chosen by the Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao. So don't get any ideas. He then waved his hand telling Lun Gok to leave with him. Before leaving, he remembered to bow to the other three. The three of them remarked, as they watched their retreating figures, if he learned my saber techniques, he could probably catch a little fox. Yes, sir. His hands seem to be bigger than other children's. My sword techniques are still much better than your saber techniques. They headed somewhere. Fong Bok then began to explain to Lun Gok, if you want to learn martial arts from the Grand Elder, you absolutely must not learn from those three. You can call me whatever you want. Lun Gok nodded seriously. But what should I call you, uncle? Fong Bok waved his hand. Lun Gok offered a suggestion. Then should I call you Elder Fong Bok? Fong Bok shook his head. In that case, just call me Great Uncle. Lun Gok chuckled to himself. He really is a warm person. He's nothing like his appearance at all. But this Great Uncle is also very strange. After thinking for a moment, he then asked about the whereabouts of Quan and Hak and the other. Fong Bok replied, this morning the old master of the Tien Ko Vien came here. It is said that one of the two children has been accepted into the Bak Li the Jia. I do not like the word elder. Lun Gok was puzzled. Is that a good place? Fong Bok explained. The Bak Li the Jia is the strategist clan of the Tien Vuong Jiao. The Bak Li the Jia. You could say they are one of the three key powers of the Tien Vuong Jiao. Fong Bok woke Lun Gok up. Hearing this, Lun Gok immediately cheered up. That's great then. Quan Anak has always been smart and bright, so he will surely be well liked. Tang Ni is also very adorable. So many people will grow to love her. Time flew by very quickly. 3 days had passed. It was early in the morning. He then quickly followed the man and left. The two of them headed upwards. They just kept walking. After an unknown amount of time, they reached the summit. Lun Gok looked into the distance, lost in thought. Uncle Fong Bok, are you planning to take me up there? Just as you thought. He wanted to take you to the highest peak. He reminded him, you must keep your footsteps and your breathing consistent. Only then can you improve. Hearing this, Lun Gok's expression turned serious. He thought to himself, consistent footsteps and breathing. It is like when you are swimming, is it not? Fong Bok glanced at him, thinking to himself, did that kid really understand right away? It seems his ability to perform the Fong Van Bo was not just a coincidence. Lun Gok followed his words and climbed the mountain. A short while later, the two of them reached their destination. He observed the scene before him. He could not help but feel excited. It is so beautiful. The whole world feels like it is at my feet. Fong Bok reminded him, from now on, every day after you finish eating, you must climb this mountain. From that day on, Lun Gok began climbing the mountain. The first day was exhausting. The second day was similar, not much better. Then came the 10th day. He could now move with proficiency, although he was still tired and sweating. But things had changed a lot. Fong Bok spoke up in praise. Now it only takes you an hour to get up and down the mountain, right? So starting tomorrow, climb it twice. Loon Gok immediately broke into a cold sweat, his jaw dropping. Climbing twice in a row. It was truly a bit too much for him. Twice in a row, Fong Bok explained. To be able to enter and survive the 10 levels of hell, you have to practice climbing this mountain at least 3 times a day. To obtain the power from Tien Vuong Kar, you basically have to enter the 10 gates of hell and pass the hellish training. That is why Fong Bok made him do basic physical training. Fong Bok watched from the side and thought to himself, oh my god, does the kid still have the energy to climb? Soon the sun had set. Loon Gok returned looking battered and drenched in sweat. Climbing up and climbing down twice made my arms and legs tremble. Then someone asked doubtfully, hey kid, do you think just by climbing up and down the mountain your martial arts will get stronger? Loon Gok scratched his head and smiled. That is what Uncle Fong Bok told me. The other man advised don't believe him. You should come with me. Just then another person approached. Hey Kong Jia, what are you doing? Kong Jia replied, oh, it is nothing. Loon Gok climbed up the mountain and then came down. So I was just praising the kid for doing a good job. The other man gave a cold laugh. If you do something stupid, I will not spare you. Kong Jia also laughed. Haha, someone was caught red-handed, trying to sneak into someone else's room 3 times. Tu Lao Nhan tried to sneak into Loon Gok's room 3 times, but was caught by Fong Bok every time. From then on, he tried his best to prevent Kong, Lao Nahan, and Thiet Lao Nanhan from approaching, because he decided not to let other people take the persimmons that he himself could not eat. On the day marking 3 months, Loon Gok entered Tien Vuong Kok. Fong Bok came over and told him to hurry. In response to his question, he explained, that is right, starting today, you will be trained in the Dien Guk Mui Quan. It will take about 5 years, if you do not want to tell me right now. Loon Guk replied with a confident look, not at all, uncle. Do not worry. Fong Bok saw his expression and breathed a sigh of relief. He then continued to speak. If you are that determined, then follow me. The 3 of them. The 3 venerable elders were also watching the 2 of them. As Lu Yu passed by, he did not forget to clasp his hands towards them. Esteemed sirs, I will be back later. The 3 of them spoke in unison. All right, be safe. If it gets too difficult, just give up. If anything interesting happens, remember to come back and tell me about it. And so Lu Yu trailed behind him. He followed Fong Bok and left. Worried, he asked again, are you really confident? Lu Yu smiled and nodded yes. Even if I have to die, I will still go. The 2 of them quickly arrived outside a cave. Fong Bok pointed inside and explained. When you go inside, you will see a door. Open that door and go on in. Lu Yu nodded. Uncle, please take care of your health until I return. Fong Bok waved his hand. Haha, do not worry about me. All right, you should go in now. Lu Yu said nothing more. He slowly made his way inside. A look of determination was on his face as he walked and thought to himself, no matter what happens, I will not give up. As soon as he stepped inside, a voice echoed out. It asked for his name. As soon as Lu Yu stated his name, the voice laughed. Liu Yu, 10 years old, a disciple of Fong Bok. You were brought here by that sickly weakling. Once you have entered, there is no getting out. If you are not afraid to die, then open the door and step inside. Liu Yu walked up to the door in front of him. He could not help but be amazed by its immense size. He then walked over, mustering his strength to push the door open. He watched as the door slowly creaked open. He silently let out a breath. All right then. This is still worth opening. The voice echoed once more. Full of mockery. You fool. If you had waited a little longer, it would have opened by itself. But you couldn't stand it and had to force it open with your hands. But you are pretty strong. Even an adult would have to break a sweat to open it. Loon Gok scoffed inwardly. What's the point of telling me that now? He no longer hesitated and slowly stepped inside. As soon as he entered, his eyes widened in shock. He exclaimed in utter confusion, Is this hell? It was nothing like the hell that he had imagined. Not at all. He quickly went down the stairs, heading downwards. Many other people were there at that time. Even Quan and Hawk was present, watching him with the crowd. When Loon Gok saw his friend was also there, he was incredibly excited. Quan Nak happily responded in kind. The 2 of them quickly ran towards each other. Loon Gok spoke up. I heard from Uncle Fong Bok that you were adopted into the Bok Li Giamon as a foster son. Quan Nhok nodded. That's right. Than Ni, too. Loon Gok asked again. So are you living well there? Quan Nhok smiled. It's really good. My adoptive father is very good to me. Hearing that, Loon Gok let out a sigh of relief. What about Than Na? Hasn't Than Nai looked for me? Quan Nhok scratched his head. Than Ni is doing well. She's probably been so busy playing that she's already forgotten your name. Loon Gok made a displeased face upon hearing that. That girl. When I see her, I'll have to give her a good scolding. Just then someone walked over and shouted, All right then. No more idle chatter. You the new kid, what's your name? Let me get your name. He smirked, showing clear contempt. The kid that fool Fong Bok is raising. Loon Gok gritted his teeth, seething with anger. He is not a fool. Ignoring his displeasure, the large man continued to speak. From now on, do not open your mouth unless you are given permission. Understood. Just then, someone walked up from behind him. He handed him a cloth bag and ordered Instructor Lamb. Distribute it. The large man quickly distributed the items inside. To the kids, it was something that looked like a medicinal pill. Once everyone had received one, the man spoke loudly. I am Jiao Min, the third of the 14 martial masters of this Dia Nguk Thap Quan. What you have just received is Ton Kong Dak. From now on, you will be unable to use your internal energy until you pass the third gate. Hearing this, the kids all began to panic. Every single one of them had a tense expression. Sweat poured down like rain. Along with that, their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Loon Gok, however, was much calmer, thinking to himself, it is not like I had any internal energy to begin with. And Jiao Min shouted, telling them to be quiet. Then he ordered the person beside him. Instructor, go ahead and introduce them to the gates of Dian Nguch Thap Quan. The instructor immediately spoke in a loud voice. The second gate is the gateway to basic physical conditioning. If you pass the 5th gate, you will be qualified to join the team of 5 elite warriors. If you pass the 6th level, you will become a leader, able to lead a group of 10 warriors. If you pass the 7th and 8th levels, you will become a mid-level leader, leading a group of 100 people. A kid raised his hand and asked, what happens if we pass the 9th and 10th levels? One of the instructors smirked. In the past 35 years, only 2 people have been able to pass the 9th stage, and no one has ever passed the 10th. So even I don't know. The kids panicked once again upon hearing that. The instructor paid no mind to their attitude. He spoke again. And now welcome to hell. He then turned and pushed the door open. Leading the way, he told the kids to follow. This is the first trial. Every single one of the kids' faces turned serious. Inside was a group of rather fierce-looking martial artists. Waiting for them? The instructor saw the kids just standing there dumbfounded and shouted, What are you all still doing? Hurry up and follow your seniors. The kids no longer hesitated and immediately rushed forward. There was a good reason this trial was named Hell. It was not physical training, but training to kill. Even meals had to be eaten during training, sometimes while running. Sometimes they even had to eat while in the water. When they were exhausted, the instructor would appear and splash water on them. If they still did not wake up, a horrifying beating would follow. The instructor glanced at Loon Gok and questioned him. What do you think you are doing, Tien Loon Gok? You bastard, do you think you can survive like this? Loon Gok gritted his teeth and thought to himself, I can't lose to someone like that. He then walked over and strained to lift a boulder. The instructor stood there watching him and cursing under his breath. Damned brat, just like that 10 days passed. One of the kids was tripped and fell hard to the ground, hitting the cliff wall. Seeing him fall, the others got excited and started teasing him. That bastard is squirming like a snail. The kid shakily stood up holding a rock. Seeing this, one of them came forward and asked harshly, What do you want? The kid raised the stone. Let's try this just once. What do you all think? You have the guts to do it. Or how about I give it a try first? With that, he decisively grabbed a rock and smashed it right into his own head. See you do it like this. So any of you want to give it a try? The group looked on in horror. This guy, you are crazy. Loon Gok walked over and snatched the rock from his hand. The other kid was confused. Is this a real rock? He then raised the rock as well and smashed it right into his own head. The group was once again completely shocked. They just stood there dumbfounded. Loon Gok did not seem to care at all. He casually tossed the rock behind him. He then went and picked up an even bigger rock. This one should be better. That other one was so flat it did not even really hurt. He held the rock in front of the other guy and asked, "Well, you want to try?" The guy panicked and quickly waved his hands in refusal. Loongok's voice turned stern. "If you are not going to do anything, then get out of the way. I still have another hour of training to do." They did not dare bother him anymore. They immediately took their leave. "All right, fine. We are busy people anyway." Only then did Loongok turn to the other kid and ask, "Why did you hit yourself in the head instead of hitting them?" The other kid replied, "You do not know, do you? There are poisonous snakes targeting me, and if I were to fight them, it would cause a huge commotion." "Right." Loongok reached out and tore a strip of cloth from his sleeve. "First, let us cover that wound on your head, before the head instructor finds out and goes crazy." As he spoke, he helped the other guy bandage his head. Just then, the instructor approached from a distance. "What is going on here? Why are you two just standing there?" They both panicked. "It is nothing. I just fell and scraped my head a little." The two of them then quickly got up and ran. "Come on, let us start running again. If we're late, we might starve to death." A year passed just like that. Jiodao shouted loudly, "Starting tomorrow, we will train at this gate." The second gate is a trial to train physical strength, but it's a little different from the first gate. The trainee's hands and feet will be bound by iron rings. Once a martial artist gets used to that, they will continue to add more shackles. The kids all started to tremble and complain. It was so exhausting it was unbearable. It's like climbing a mountain with rocks tied to you now. "Hu Chuang, you can do it. I'm weaker than you and I have to wear 3 of these rings. Stop talking so much and save your energy to climb." "What's with all the talk? Save that energy and climb up. You call yourselves martial artists, yet you keep complaining. Like you're about to die or something. Loongok has to wear 12 of those rings. You all see that, and you still complain. You should be ashamed. Geez, that guy is a monster. Why are you comparing us to him? Hurry up, we're almost at the top. If we climb slower than the other teams, then there will be no rice to eat. So hurry up. If there's no rice, we'll starve to death." Just then, one kid had almost climbed to the top, right where Jiodao was standing. But at that very moment, he kicked that kid back down. This made all the others stare in complete disbelief. Jiodao stood there smiling smugly. "You really talk way too much. You think you have that much energy to spare? Get down there and climb again for me now." Facing that despicable expression of the instructor, Loongok's expression became even more determined. After that, every kid who reached the top was kicked down by him. There were no exceptions. Luckily, there was a lake below dot model, so they weren't injured at all. Loongok surfaced, spat out a mouthful of water, and thought to himself, "You bastard, just you wait. I'll make you pay back for everything you've done to me." At that moment, the others also began to surface from the water. "Haodan, where is he?" Just then the group realized that someone was missing. Loongok immediately said to the others, "You guys climb up first, I'll find him." Quan Nok had no objections and nodded immediately. "All right, be careful, Loongok." Loongok then quickly dove back down. He kept diving but couldn't see anything, which made him very confused. "Why can't I see him anywhere? There's an iron net here to stop anyone from falling too deep." At that exact moment, he noticed a hole up ahead. He continued to dive deeper to search for his friend. After a moment, he dove down near a patch of seaweed. He accidentally picked up something from inside the weeds. He held it up and began to examine it. "What is this thing? Is it glowing?" The light was so bright it lit up the whole area. He used the glowing orb to light his way as he swam. He quickly found Haodan. The kid was unconscious floating there. Loongok put the orb in his mouth, then swam over to grab Haodan. A moment later, finally, he managed to pull Haodan to the surface. He also unconsciously swallowed the orb in his mouth. The other kids on the shore quickly pulled both of them up. "He did it, that's our Loongok for you." Loongok immediately told one of them to go get Instructor Lam. He then quickly started giving Haodan mouth to mouth. Instructor Lam walked over and snapped. "What are you doing, kid? Just leave him. It's every man for himself. You get back to climbing that cliff right now." Loongok paid him no mind. He stubbornly continued to do things his way. The water from Hudan's mouth quickly sprayed out like rain, seeing that he was ignoring him and doing as he pleased. Instructor Lam walked over and kicked him hard. Loongok was sent flying by the kick, crashing into the cliff wall. He trembled in pain. He looked up at the man but said nothing. His teammates on the side cried out in agitation. He's saving someone, why would you do that? Instructor Lam glanced at them coldly. Have you all grown a spine daring to defy me? Lu Ngok turned to the group and said, it's fine. Let's just keep climbing. But you need to take care of Hu Dan. Instructor Lam replied annoyed. Fine, you talk too much. Lu Ngok, you bring him inside and follow me. But from now on all of his remaining work you will have to do for him. Understand? Lu Ngok stood up and replied calmly. All right, I understand. The instructor snorted coldly. What a bastard, he thought to himself. If this is what you want, then you can just accept your fate. Lu Ngok continued climbing and soon 3 hours had passed. His face showed immense determination. I will definitely make it. I can't give up. He bit his lips so hard that fresh blood spurted out. The jade bead he had swallowed was now stained with his blood. A surge of power seemed to erupt from within him, and the source of it all came from that very bead. Lu Ngok's eyes shot wide open. At the same time he let out a pained scream. He could no longer hold on, and began to free fall downwards. Seeing this, the soldiers below cried out in alarm. In his daze, Lu Ngok could hear a voice calling out to him. It was the voice of Quan En Hoc and another person, Lam Jiao Dao, and the physician of Dien Guch Thap Quan. Seeing him wake up, Quan En Hoc asked with concern, Are you all right? Can you see me? Tears streamed from the corners of Lu Ngok's eyes, and his heart was deeply moved. Quan En Hoc saved me again. The scene changes. In a certain room, an old man was sitting and writing. It looked like he was writing down a list of series, the masterpieces on the Hugo channel, to review and watch gradually. This old man was Bok Li Tan Duong. Time truly flies. It's already been 3 years. How are the kids doing now? Bok Li Tung Mao, who was sitting opposite, explained. Those kids are quite talented. They have already passed 3 trials. But among those kids, it seems everyone depends on the 2 with the most strength, and the whole group looks to them as their center to learn from. The old man mused, Is that so? I didn't think they would look to someone as a center to learn from. Yes, but it seems there is one more child, isn't there? Bok Li Tung Mao nodded. Yes, that's right. The old man stroked his beard. It looks like it's the child named Lu Ngok. Is that correct? Bok Li Tung Mao replied, Yes. The number of children that follow them seems to be about the same. But the issue here is the degree of obedience to their commander. Hearing that, the old man's eyes widened in shock. Obedience, Bok Li Tung Mao continued, Yes, the children who follow. Lu Ngok? Well, they pretty much do everything he says, without any resistance at all. Will this have any effect on your plans? For the future father. The old man's expression grew serious. All right, just leave it be. For now, let's leave them alone. Later, after they pass the 5th and 6th trials, if anything strange comes up, then we will intervene. Bok Li Tung Mao asked again, So father, does that mean you will use the secret path? At those 7 gates, the old man confirmed, of course. There is no need to even think about it. The scene changes to another location. An old man with his hands clasped behind his back greeted the person before him. It has been a long time. Have you been keeping well? I never thought that with the Tien Vuong Dien being so busy, you would come looking for me. Duong Mong Han, standing opposite him, returned the greeting. Yes, the Tien Vuong wishes to see you about a matter. The old man pointed to himself, somewhat confused. See me. I truly do not understand what business the Tien Vuong has with this old man. Duong Mong Han explained. Yes, the Tien Vuong asked this subordinate to tell you that regarding his actions in the past, the Tien Vuong now feels regret. The old man was even more surprised. Regret, I see. I knew that the Tien Vuong would call for me, but it is too late now. I am no longer young. I am an old man now. Faced with the aura emanating from the man, Duong Mong Han could not help but nervously think to himself, His power is truly terrifying. A single glance from him is enough to fill me with fear. It seems that in the past, the Tien Vuong had the power of the Ba Vuong Dien under control. The old man continued to speak. Besides, I have been imprisoned here for 35 years. Even if I were to go outside now, who would be left to remember and obey my orders? The only way to change things now is to re-establish the Tien Vuong Len. Duong Mong Han replied, Yes, I understand. I will relay your words to the Tien Vuong. The old man continued. Because of that, if we lose our original purpose and determination, then the Tien Vuong Jiao will no longer be the Tien Vuong Jiao. Duong Mong Han did not dare to object. He could only nod obediently. I will remember that. He then turned around decisively and left. The door slammed shut, clearly showing his displeasure. As soon as he was gone, the old man called out for Fong Bok. Fong Bok immediately appeared before him out of nowhere. The moment he appeared, he asked about Lun Ngok's situation. Truong Tien Kung stared at him and asked in return, "So, in your opinion, that boy is not doing well right now?" Fong Bok explained that is not the case. I meant that it seems my stomach has not been feeling well lately. Truong Tien Kung continued, all right. It seems a trip to the Tien Vuong. Dien is in order. Fong Bok's eyes narrowed. So you must take action now. Truong Tien Kung shook his head. The one who is going is not me. Go there, meet the Phu Troc Vien and tell him to observe quietly and not to do anything out of line. The scene changes to another location. A pile of iron rings was unfastened and thrown to the ground. After 3 years, Lun Ngok had now grown up, looking like a young man. His expression had also matured a great deal, no longer holding the naive look from his childhood. The other members of the group quickly walked over to him, asking, "Are you okay?" Lun Ngok nodded in reply that he was fine. Every day of training here felt like a nightmare to him. His body was in constant pain. His heart pounded as if it were about to explode. Twice a month. This pain becomes even more excruciating. Could it be because I swallowed that orb? But every time I endure pain like this, the energy inside me grows stronger. After thinking for a moment, he smiled and glanced at Quan En Hak beside him. He said, "I made it out. Quan En Hak, how about you join me in the 4th gate for training?" Seeing his friend just nod without saying anything, Lun Ngok was once again lost in thought. After that time, Quan En Hak had changed completely. He became less talkative. Remembering back to before entering the 3rd gate, someone had come to see Quan En Hak. Since then, he began to change. "Now I can't chat cheerfully with Quan En Hak like we used to." Thinking this, he asked, "What about the other members?" Quan En Hak replied, "They are all already waiting at the 4th gate." Hearing this, Lun Ngok smiled happily. "All right, let's go then." Someone else spoke up and asked, "What about Thuong Hu Thuong? Are we just leaving him behind?" That time after Lun Ngok fell off the cliff, Thuong Hu Thuong disappeared without a trace. But when Thuong Hu Thuong was training in the 3rd gate, his senses became much sharper. Thuong Hu Thuong's body was naturally larger than others. Because of that, the traps in the 3rd gate were more difficult for him. He was also beaten by the head instructor countless times and left half dead. Lun Ngok sighed. "Right now, with our current strength, we can't do anything to interfere." The other person gritted his teeth, extremely frustrated. "Damn it. Just thinking about that instructor pisses me off." Lun Ngok reassured him, "All right. What we need to do now is pass the 4th gate." He looked at the 2 Quan before him and sighed to himself. "I won't be able to see Quan and Nak for a while." At that thought, he turned to say goodbye to his friends. Quan Hak spoke up as well. "Right? I hope you succeed. Take care." Lun Ngok nodded. "You too?" After that, the group went their separate way forwards. Lun Ngok stood there watching them for a moment before moving forward himself. Thrust/fight kick. Those few words were the simplest way to describe 2 Quan. Their first exercise was to swing a sword. Slashing at a log, they couldn't hit the mark. A red mark had been painted on the log, and so they were beaten and cursed at by the instructor. "You can't even do something this simple, you useless trash. You're not a child anymore. So why can't you even manage this?" Getting beaten made the young man incredibly resentful. "If that log were your face, you bastard, I would have already hacked it to pieces." Nearby, another person was also practicing on a log. He had just finished a slash when he too was beaten and yelled at. "What the hell is this? I drew a line on it for you, so how did you still miss? All of you gather over here now." The young man knelt on the ground, gritting his teeth and cursing inwardly. "Damn it, that bastard. With those huge hands. Is that how you're going to hit someone?" Elsewhere, another person was already exhausted. He was so dizzy he could barely stand. But the instructor didn't care and walked over to strike him. "And you haven't even done any real training, and you're already exhausted like you're about to die. Have you been drinking or something? That you can't even stand steady." The young man lay on the ground in agony, clenching his fists and cursing to himself. "That bastard really can say whatever he wants. How can I possibly get up if you hit me like that?" Over here, the only female was also beaten mercilessly. As for you, just lie there and wait to die. I will make sure you can never get up again." She lay there thinking resentfully to herself. How could I have fallen if you had not pushed me? Finally, it was Loon Gok's turn. As for that guy, cover one eye and come over here. Seeing that Loon Gok did not obey and just stood there motionless, he snapped at him. If you keep looking at me with that look in your eyes, I will gouge them out. Got it. Loon Gok had no other choice but to comply. He covered one eye. He silently vowed to himself, "You just wait. When I am strong enough, I will be the one gouging your eyes out." No matter which stage it was, the instructors always beat them brutally. Those instructors were not happy if a day went by without beating them. All of it was done under the pretext of training them. But the thing is, they only hit spots that had not been hit before, even in such harsh training conditions. Loon Gok was still able to learn all the tom fap that were carved on the cliff wall. His other teammates, however, were different. They all found it confusing and became discouraged. Some even advised Loon Gok to give up to save himself the headache. But despite that, he persisted in learning it to the very end. The instructors began to discuss among themselves. It seems one of them has figured it out, that it is a top-tier tam fap. All right, so Loon Gok knows, but let's see if he can actually learn it in 10 days. I think the record for learning it is 1 week, is it not? Loon Gok sat there looking at the cliff wall in deep thought. I must memorize the tam fap on this stone wall, because I have never learned any tam fap before. Besides, whenever the pain flares up, reciting this tam fap makes me feel much better. Therefore, I have to learn it, even if it kills me, to lessen the pain that I have to endure. To lessen the pain that I have to endure. This is the only way we can survive. Time flew by. Loon Gok and his group trained for another month. 2 months passed, then 6. The head instructor spoke to them. All those times we beat you. Do you think we did it because we hate you? We only did it to help you improve. You must remember that. In the future, you will be grateful to us for what we have done. Today, none of them said a word, but from the looks on their faces, it was clear they were still very bitter. The man saw their expressions and felt a little embarrassed. He turned his head and forced a smile. The kids did not pay them any attention. They quickly left together. After walking for a while, one of them could not hold it in any longer. He gritted his teeth and yelled, "Easy for those bastards to say. They beat me so much just because they thought I was an easy target. Just you wait. One day I will pay you back for all of this." The person next to him tried to calm him down. "All right, that is enough." The young man was confused. Where did this little guy come from? The white-haired girl walked over and asked doubtfully, "It seems like you are annoyed that you took a beating for me. Am I right?" The young man blushed and scratched his head in embarrassment. "That is not it. No, it was all my fault. Quan and Hak has already entered the 5th gate, right?" Loon Gok furrowed his brows, thinking, "I did not think Quan and Hak would change so much. Once we get out of here, I will find out when I meet him." The group quickly arrived outside the gate. The 5th gate. The instructor here said to them, "All right. Before you enter, I will briefly explain. The challenge is the same in every cave. Therefore, you can only enter one cave, understand?" The group replied in unison, "Understood." The instructor pointed inside, "Keep going, all right. Then get in there." Loon Gok went first, saying to his companions, "All right. In the future, whoever passes all the trials and gets a high position in the sect, remember not to forget about the rest of us. Remember, don't you dare ignore us." The instructor shouted in annoyance, "You bastards, are you still standing there talking nonsense? Hurry up and get inside, all of you." Startled by his shout, the group quickly ran inside. As soon as they entered, the cave door slammed shut. Food would be delivered at set times. Lamp oil was also poured in through a pipe. In the blink of an eye, Loon Gok had already been living here for 6 months. The door here never opened, not even a little. During this time, he focused solely on learning martial arts. There were generally 3 types of martial arts. They were swordsmanship, blade techniques, and fist techniques. For the next 3 months, he remained dedicated to his training. Before coming in here, my comrades had already practiced martial arts. Quan Hak even trained at the Tien Ko Dien. That's why he ignored the mind techniques on the stone wall at the Ditu Quan. But I am different. I had not practiced any mind techniques before, so I had to learn them all. And this here is the follow-up to the mind technique from the Tu Quan. You could say the mind techniques of the Tu Quan and Ngu Quan are connected. Therefore, in order to survive, I need to master all of these mind techniques. He leaped into the air with his sword, and then began to slash wildly. After practicing with the sword, he switched to practicing his fists. And so Lun Ngok learned the mind techniques with extreme patience. The inevitable day finally came. The stone door sealed for so long finally opened. A person slowly walked in. Lun Ngok observed the person, thinking to himself, "It is the head instructor of the Dengu Quan. Why is it him?" He said towards him, "You can come out now. If you can withstand 10 of my moves, you will pass. Of course, you can only use the martial arts taught here." Lun Ngok furrowed his brow in thought. Something felt strange. Seeing the man draw his saber, he grew even more uneasy. The killing intent he emitted was incredibly strong. Ever since I arrived here, I've always felt something was strange. The instructors always targeted me for beatings. Now someone with such intense killing intent comes demanding I receive 10 of his moves. I really don't understand the reason for it. Ignoring him as he stood there, his opponent raised his saber and told him to charge. Lun Ngok didn't dwell on the issue any longer. I don't need to know what they want. I will just do my best. With that thought, he swung his sword and charged forward. Their weapons clashed in an instant. After one move, they each separated. They fell back to increase the distance. The instructor smiled. "Now I understand. It seems those people who were always watching you had a purpose after all." Hearing this, Lun Ngok was silently stunned. Watching me? And for what purpose? The instructor raised his saber again. "Only 9 moves left, so try your best to block them." Lun Ngok didn't say another word. He launched himself forward. A powerful sword strike was effortlessly deflected by his opponent's saber. Without stopping, he continued to swing his sword, striking again. He quickly revealed an opening and was slashed, spitting blood. The man continued to swing his saber, forcing him to struggle just to block the attacks. Under his immense power, he was immediately sent flying. He lay powerlessly on the ground. Trembling, he gritted his teeth and glared at his opponent. The man sheathed his saber and turned to leave. "All right, your skills are quite good. You can pass." Lun Ngok stood up, cupping his hands in thanks. The instructor offered words of encouragement. "There are 6 gates left. I hope you can pass them." "Keep it up, kid." Lun Ngok wiped the dirt from his face, thinking to himself, "That was really lucky. But it was also largely thanks to Uncle Fong Bok. I remembered his guidance. Thanks to those strange footwork techniques, I was able to dodge that man's sword moves. During those challenges of 8 and 9 moves, it seems that after so many unlucky days, my luck is turning around a little." The scene shifts to the father and son of the Bok Li family. Bok Li Tung Mao reported to his father, "Father, that child has entered the 6th gate." The old man asked in return, "So Ngo Dong Min didn't stop him?" Bok Li Tung Mao explained. He had already used 60% of his power. If he wanted to defeat that kid, he would have had to use his real martial arts. That's why he stopped. The old man was astonished. He used 60% and still couldn't do anything to him. He then put down the book in his hands. "All right, it's hard to say how things will turn out. We still don't know the intentions of the elders. Therefore, we must pay attention to everything from now on and overlook nothing." Bok Li Tung Mao nodded. "Yes, I understand." The old man continued, "We need to completely clear away every obstacle around Quan Nak." Bok Li Tung Mao added, "Everything is already in place. We just need to take care of that Lun Ngok guy. Then no one will be able to stand in the way of our plans." That day, a group of martial artists arrived at Vin An village. They came to kill everyone in the village. The entire village where Lun Ngok grew up was completely annihilated in a single night. Everything is already in place. We just need to take care of that Lun Ngok guy. Then no one will be able to stand in the way of our plans. That day, a group of martial artists arrived at Vin An village to kill everyone in the village. The entire village where Lun Ngok grew up was completely annihilated in a single night. The scene changes to the cave. Lun Ngok just arrived outside the entrance of the Luke Quan. The drill master immediately reminded him. Inside the Luke Quan, there are 10 types of martial arts. Each one is naturally different. So whichever martial art you want to learn, just look through the manuals. Then choose one to learn and take it inside to train. When you are ready for the challenge, go to the entrance wall and say train. The cave door will open for you to enter. Inside the training dummy room of this Luke Quan will be your trial. We will use that to see if you can pass or not. Look, those training dummies are modeled after the ones from Tiu Lam Tu. Therefore, they are quite dangerous. So be careful. Do not underestimate them. Many have fallen in this Luke Quan. All right, if you cannot take it anymore, just say you give up. Understood. Lu Nungok's expression tensed as he thought to himself, I would rather die than give up. As if I would ever say something like that. The instructor held up 3 fingers and continued. If you can pass through that training dummy room within 3 watches, you will pass. Do you have any other questions? Lu Ngok immediately spoke up. Quan Nak, has he been here? The instructor nodded. He was here yesterday. You are the 8th person to take the challenge in this place. Hearing this, Liu Ngok could not help but sigh internally. That means 2 people have already been eliminated from the team. The instructor pointed forward and ordered, All right, go and choose your martial art quickly. Liu Ngok quickly went over and began to choose. He flipped through each manual observing them. Just as I expected, I already have my next cultivation method. Liu Ngok chose the That Vuong Qian and the Ma Lin bow. He then quickly entered the cave. After entering the Luke Quan, all sense of day and night was lost as time passed. For Lu Ngok, he only focused on cultivating his martial arts, paying no attention to anything else. Time flew by in a flash. Lu Ngok had learned a bit of the martial art he had chosen. 3 months after entering the 6th gate, he walked up to the stone door and loudly called out to train. But the stone door did not open, which left him very confused. After a long while, it slowly opened. The moment Lu Ngok stepped inside, he was startled, because in front of him were 2 neat rows of wooden men, looking very imposing. He entered and silently observed them. Very quickly, a wooden man in front rushed towards him with a sword. Lu Ngok quickly jumped up to dodge. Then he drew his sword. He aimed the tip of his sword straight at the wooden man's chest and thrust forward. Very quickly, the tip of his sword struck the opening on its chest. At the same time, another one rushed in from the side. It leaped up, swinging its sword down towards his head. Lu Ngok's reaction was not slow, and he jumped up just in time to avoid it. His eyes were sharp, and a knowing smile crept onto his lips. Next he swung his sword, delivering several slashes onto its body, shattering it to pieces. Somewhere behind a large rock, someone was secretly watching. Seeing his strength, he could not help but be secretly shocked. His footwork is so fast, Lu Ngok continued, stepping towards the remaining group of wooden men. From the front, more wooden men charged forward. Yet another one was taken down by Lu Ngok. He kicked it, sending it flying into the rock wall, then rushed forward and thrust his sword straight into it. Just then he was startled as he realized something. Meanwhile, the instructor was in the control room for the wooden men. All right, I just need to add a little more power to the puppets. Back here, Lu Ngok was still fighting fiercely. The instructor laughed happily and pulled the lever down. Let's see how you deal with this. The scene shifts to Bok Li's side. Tung Mao is reporting the latest news to his father. He is truly a talented child. He has mastered the 18 swords and Don Honorable, and 70% of the Thaptan Dao. The old man stroked his beard in admiration. He has already reached that point, Bok Li Tung Mao confirmed. Yes, that is why the other disciples are also paying attention to him. He might be the one to challenge the 9 trials. After all these years, the old man immediately became agitated. That cannot be happening. Bok Li Tung Mao reassured him. But please, rest assured, father, I have prepared everything thoroughly. If anything happens, I will make him disappear forever. Hearing this, the old man finally calmed down. That is good then. What about Quan Hak Bok? Li Tung Mao continued. He has also passed 6 trials. It seems he will pass the 7th trial quickly. The old man nodded. All right, that is good. That way he will have more advantages in the future. If anything happens, you must help him. Has there been any movement from the elders? Bok Li Tung Mao shook his head. No, nothing yet. But the Thapmadian has made some moves. Hearing this, the old man frowned. Is that so? Bok Li Tung Mao continued. There is another rather important matter. According to the demonic physician, it seems the sect leader's illness is unlikely to be cured. Something will definitely happen within the next 3 years. The old man thought to himself, so the time has finally come. After all, he has been sick for over 15 years. All right, that day is finally here. But we were friends after all, so I must go and see him. The scene shifts to Lu Ngok. He contemplated while bandaging his wounds. Only 9 rooms left. Today I will end everything here. Thank you for listening. Just then, another wooden puppet charged at him. Lu Ngok did not have time to think and could only raise his sword to block. Then he immediately swung his fist and punched it. Just like that, the wooden puppet was sent flying by his punch. Lu Ngok did not stop and continued to charge forward with his sword. One slash of his sword created several waves of sword energy. The wooden puppet had no way to dodge, it could only take the full brunt of the attack. Meanwhile, an instructor was rushing somewhere. Bach Li-tung Mao was in his room painting and looked up in confusion when he saw the man enter. He walked over, knelt down, and reported hastily. That kid has already passed 6 stages. Hearing this, Bach Li-tung Mao was so shocked that his brush slipped, ruining the painting. What did you say? The instructor's face turned grim. We need to eliminate him quickly. Bach Li-tung Mao reassured him. All right, it will all work out. He said that, but inwardly he was grinding his teeth in frustration. It is a good thing we have Quan En Hoc, otherwise that kid would have a hard time escaping. Quan En Hoc said that if anything happens to Lu Ngok, he would follow him. That is why I can only endure this. After thinking for a moment, he spoke up, Hey Tong Tue, have you set it up in there yet? The scene shifts back to Lu Ngok. At this moment, suspicion began to rise in his mind. This is really strange. The head instructor said it was easy to get lost in here. But why did he not lead the way for me? And why are there no directions in here at all? Everything is hazy and hard to make out. Besides, everything is way too quiet. But since I am already in here, I just need to get to the end. Lu Mat disappeared within the 7 stages. Because of this, the head instructors had to gather for an emergency meeting. No data. 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 No data, 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 no data. What the hell is going on? The place that kid went into has been sealed off. As soon as Jiao Vu Thang finished speaking, the person sitting in the main seat threw a teacup straight at his head. What? He's the child recommended by the Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao. And you just let this happen to him. Now you'll have to go talk to the Nguyen Lao. The one scolding him is the Lord of Hell. Quan Cat Min Thien. He was cursing him out horribly, showing the other person no respect at all. You have to take full responsibility for this whole affair. Do you understand? Jiao Vu Thang endured it and thought to himself, what does him going in there have to do with me? Inside the 7 gates, Lu Ngok had faced too many life or death trials. Even so, he was still holding on. He gritted his teeth and thought to himself, I have to stay in this place for 6 months. It has only been a few days so far. However, the food has already run out. If things keep going like this, if I don't die from the traps, I will probably die of starvation. Just then, a flame suddenly burst out on top of his head. His head suddenly catching fire made him freeze in shock. He hurriedly shook his head, frantically putting out the fire. Black smoke also rose up, causing him to cough violently. At the same time, the traps shot arrows at him again. Over the next few days, by learning the mind technique from the stone wall, the pain Lu Ngok had to endure lessened a great deal. He sat dejectedly in a corner of the cave looking dazed, watching the flame on the wall grow smaller and smaller. He started to panic. The lamp oil has run out. Does that mean this place is going to be pitch black? Cutting to the Bach Li family. Bach Li-tung Mao said cheerfully, that place will not be supplied with any more oil if there is no light. Then that kid will definitely die at Quan Tu Dao. The old man took a sip of his tea and remarked, it is a true pity for such a talent. Bach Li-tung Mao also took a sip of his tea. Jiao Vu Thang has already told Nguyen Lao. He does not seem to have had any reaction about that kid's disappearance. In the that Quan, the old man asked again. So what did Quan En Hoc say? Bach Li-tung Mao replied, I have not told him yet. What is important is that the sect leader's health is failing. The old man was once again surprised. I must go there. When I return, we will discuss this further. Bach Li-tung Mao put down his teacup and continued, regarding father's alliance with the top Median. It is a bit hard to say. They always demand more than others. The Kui Vuong Dien, or the Tien Vuong Dien, I think those would be better options. All right, I understand, the old man said reassuringly. But there is no need to rush. We have already waited this long, so waiting a little longer is fine. The scene changes to the Ba Vuong Dien. Fong Bok is here talking with Truong Tien Kung and Lu Ngok. That kid has been missing in the That Quan for a few days now. Do you have nothing to say about this? Truong Tien Kung replied nonchalantly, you know how I am. Fong Bok squinted, recalling a memory. You will be dead within the hour. If he said they would die, they would definitely die. and if things do not go his way, he will take matters into his own hands and make sure that person dies. Truong Tien Kung spoke again. That child will live. Upon hearing this, Fong Bok was instantly convinced. If he says so, then I can rest assured. But he still wanted to ask something else. But before he could get the words out, Truong Tien Kung suddenly shouted in agitation, "I already told you, do you still not believe me?" Fong Bok hurriedly waved his hands, indicating that he did not mean that. Truong Tien Kung continued, "That child will definitely return, do you understand? It will definitely happen. But I need to give it a little push. You and I will go to Dien Ngush Dien to take care of some business." A moment later, the two of them were outside Dien Nguc Dien. The guards outside saw them arrive and immediately bowed in unison. "Greetings, Elder. Long live the Elder." The two of them paid no mind. They headed straight inside. Meanwhile, inside, 3 people were already there waiting. As soon as Truong Tien Kung entered, he spoke. "It has been a long time." The master of Dien Nguc Dien Vin Ho replied, "I apologize for troubling the Elder to come all this way." Truong Tien Kung continued, "You are getting better with your words, aren't you? You were not this smooth-tongued in the past, were you?" Vin Ho nodded. "Yes, that was a long time ago." Truong Tien Kung narrowed his eyes. "So does that mean you are different now?" Vin Ho gestured for him to come further inside. At the same time, he was thinking to himself, "Of course I am different from the past. I have a 5-year-old grandchild now." Truong Tien Kung walked over and sat down. He continued to speak. "You already know the reason why I am here, right?" "Regarding that, we do not know who did it, therefore." Vin Ho interrupted. "The passage inside has collapsed. Therefore, it is difficult for anyone to get inside. That child has been in there for a few days. So it seems there is no hope left." Truong Tien Kung stroked his beard and sighed. "If you say so, then I have no choice but to accept it. But if he returns alive, then you all must compensate him." Vin Ho's whole body trembled slightly. His expression was clearly unsightly. But that is a matter for our sect. Around Truong Tien Kung, his aura was completely unconcealed, filled with rage. He pointed his finger and shouted, "This is all your fault. Therefore you all must take responsibility." Vin Ho dared not object, quickly clasping his hands and bowing his head. "Very well, I will accept your request." The scene changes back to Lung Gok. He was currently licking the water that trickled from a rock crevice to rehydrate. After a moment, he sat down somewhere lost in thought. He clenched his fists, showing his clear determination to survive. "I will not die here." His gaze quickly grew hazy. He sat there and drifted off to sleep to recover his strength. 9 days passed in a flash. Lung Gok looked at the pile of rocks ahead and sighed. "I have reached that thong low." Why did he suddenly sense something? He turned his head to look at the writing on the nearby cliff wall. "I am Ho Vin Duong. I entered the That Quan but lost an arm here. Therefore I destroyed some of the mechanisms. The instructors will probably be furious if they find out. Repairing these mechanisms is not a simple matter at all. If anyone manages to pass through the That Quan in the future, they will have me to thank for it." Reading this, Lun Gok sighed. "So how am I supposed to get through this now? The mechanisms still have not been repaired. How strange. It has been so long, why has no one fixed them? Or perhaps it is just that no one has come in here for a long time. In any case, I need to be careful. It seems like someone wants to assassinate me." He glanced from side to side, looking all around. Then he decisively put his head down and ran. "For now, I will just have to catch some bats to eat. Since there are bats here, there must definitely be a place that leads to the outside." Then he brought his hand to his mouth and began to blow. "When I was a child, I made sure to learn the calls of bats. Therefore, I can control them as I wish." Soon a bat came flying towards him. Lun Gok reached out and caught it. He silently thanked his good fortune. Then, without hesitation, he brought it to his mouth and ate it raw. "No matter what, I have to survive." After finishing his meal of bait, he leaned against the rock wall, satisfied. Anything tastes good when you're starving. All right then, let's see what kind of martial arts this 7th pass has. Countless secret verses were carved into the stone wall. Since he had just arrived, Lun Gok hadn't noticed them at all. But now that his stomach was full, and his body was brimming with vitality, he could focus his entire mind on learning those cultivation methods. These are the secret verses that follow the ones I learned in the previous passes. This is truly incredible. Time flew by, and 3 months passed in a flash. Lun Gok had memorized and learned all the secret verses in the 7th pass. From there, he merged the previous verses into one. At that moment inside his body, his internal energy surged continuously. Loongok exclaimed with excitement, "Now it's time to get out of here." He then swung his spear and began to channel his chi. A powerful strike landed directly on the wall in front of him. He kept doing this for several days straight. When he got tired, he would stop to rest catching bats to eat raw. Time flew by, and another month had passed. Thanks to his tireless and persistent efforts, Loongok finally succeeded. The rock wall in front of him was completely shattered by his attacks, revealing a path behind it. He burst out laughing in excitement. "I did it." He then slowly stepped forward. Seeing so many bats on the cave walls gave him even more will to live. It really is a bat cave. I don't have to worry about food anymore. After walking a bit further, he was blinded by a bright light. Up ahead on the cave wall, there was a hole leading to the outside, letting the sunlight stream in. Loongok quietly sighed in relief. "I finally found the way out. Now what should I do? I will only leave when it is necessary. I need to memorize all of the mental arts and practice them until I am proficient and have mastered them completely. In the future I will become strong, so I will never be oppressed by anyone again." And so time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 3 years went by. In a certain room, a man irritably threw down the book in his hand. "Loongok, your face is finally starting to fade from my mind." There was only one reason why Bok Lee Kwan Nhak read books so frantically. It was to erase the image of his friend, which constantly appeared in his mind. He did it to make himself forget Thien Loongok. And just like that, 3 years passed. He walked to the window and lamented, "I have now resolved with all my heart and soul to become a member of the Bok Lee family, because I have a just reason to do so. So I will start by forgetting your very existence. Although it is not easy, I have made my decision. Even if I have to dig up every single memory of you from my mind and cast it aside, I will choose to be immersed in this world. No one can change my mind. The price for forgetting you, it has to be at least this much, right?" Loongok in his mind, he recalled the conversation with Bok Lee Tung Mao. "Forget Thien Loongok. That child is a descendant of the Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao. For all we know, he could become the greatest enemy of our family. We must eliminate him before that seed can sprout." At the time, it all felt so distant to me. Someone as powerless as me could only choose to forget everything about you. To prevent that from happening, he remembered the words of Bok Lee Tan Duong. "That is an incredibly dangerous child. Even if you hate being abandoned, you must eliminate that child. Just know this child and do not say a word." At that moment I knew. From the moment I bore the Bok Lee name, I was no longer myself. The filthy and disgusting feeling made me sick, but I was completely powerless. But what was even more tragic was that I couldn't even give up my own life to stop it. That was when I knew I was someone who lacked the courage to die for my own friend. But on that night, a person secretly and quietly came to find me. Now it seems everything has been cleaned up. I have lived for over a century just waiting for this day. That person claimed to be my uncle and said that he was the one who made me join this place. The fact that Thien Loongok came here as well was merely a coincidence. You must remember what happened that day. The hatred from that day must not be forgotten. He stirred up my distant memories, a memory that I had once desperately tried to forget. It has been a long time from the day I met my uncle until today. It has been 3 days. It was from that day that I buried our friendship deep within my shattered heart. My friend, even in the afterlife, please forgive me. The one who could not save you, the one who intended to forget you." Switching the scene to Loongok. He emerged from the swampy water. As soon as he surfaced, he began to look left and right, observing his surroundings. Where could this be? Very quickly his attention was drawn to a certain spot. He quickly climbed out of the water, grabbing a piece of cloth from the ground as he did. While wandering inside the cave, then he saw a stream, so he jumped in. That stream connected to the lotus pond inside the Tam Quan, and this time he also obtained a layer of skin, like snake scales from that place. After walking for a while, he was in for a surprise. On the stone tablet were a few words, "The 9th gate of hell." What is this? The 9th gate of hell. Damn it. Is this telling me I have to go all the way to the end? You think I don't dare to go in? Without hesitation, he quickly went and pushed the door open. He slowly stepped inside without a hint of fear. he could see on the walls that there were several figures printed. Seeing how revealing the clothes of these women were, he felt a little embarrassed. They should have been drawn with proper clothes, for heaven's sake. Suddenly there was a voice calling out, "Brother!" which reminded him of Tan Ni and made him turn his head. The women on the wall actually crawled out. They rushed towards him from all directions. Surrounded by them, Lu Ngok didn't know what to do. He could only cry out helplessly, "Go away, please get off of me," with no other way to resist the temptation of these female demons. He could only sit down cross-legged and start circulating his qi. Very quickly, the women were sent flying by the true qi, radiating from his body. Lu Ngok sat there circulating his qi for a whole day. It was not until the next day that he opened his eyes and regained his senses. There were no longer any distractions around him. He walked over to a nearby rock wall to read the text on it. Du quan huyen lak viem tin dai tran. If one encounters the wall of the absolute peak, their inner demons will find them. Only by passing through this place in the future will one be able to overcome their inner demons. Lu Ngok let out a sigh of relief and stood up. That was a close call. Who would set up a formation in a place like this? He had just stood up. The clothes on his body were torn to shreds and fell away. He had no choice. He could only grab the nearby snakeskin and wrap it around himself. For now, I'll just have to make do with this. He then continued deeper into the cave. After overcoming the woman's seduction, with difficulty, what greeted him this time was an endless desert. Gasping for breath, he looked ahead and said, "I do not know who you are, but if I ever meet the person who set up this damn formation, I will beat them to death." The desert did not just have sand, but also stone tablets engraved with manuals for superior martial arts. Ultimate techniques were lined up one after the other. Lu Ngok noticed the stone tablet inscribed with Tien Kung Ma Kiem, and next to it was Fu Huang Qi Dao. But no matter how superior the martial arts were, they still could not ease Lu Ngok's frustration. The only thing that could do that now would be the Masterpiece series on the channel. From Hugo Review. After a while, he arrived at Tianbang Tan Kuyen. Beside it was another tablet, advising him to practice Thiet Vuong Tien Tam Ko. Lu Ngok collapsed helplessly onto the ground and sighed. He raised a clenched fist and started cursing. "Damn Ko Quan Mon! Which bastard created this damn trap? They are truly evil. You bastard!" He just looked up to the heavens and let out a huge curse. Then he suddenly saw something different from everything he had seen so far. For the next 5 months, the formation will not activate. It does not matter what you practice. But you must have practiced Thiet Huyet Vuong Tam, Tien Ko to over the 3rd star, or possess 65 years of cultivation to pass through the 9 gates. Cutting to another scene. In a certain room, a man and a woman were sleeping in each other's arms. The man opened his eyes and thought to himself, "Tonight feels so long. I have slept with my wife a few times already. So why is the response taking so long today?" Suddenly he was startled and sat bolt upright. He went outside, looking at the entry and exit signs on the wall. Shocked, impossible. It is true. It must be broken. It has been over 15 years since I repaired it. Seeing this, the woman also sat up and asked, "My lord, what is wrong?" He glanced at his wife and instructed, "I will be going to bed late tonight. Do not change your clothes, just wait. I will be back soon." He then immediately rushed outside. "First, if it has been opened, I will just close it. After all, that is a place that no one has been able to enter for over 200 years. Is it not? Who would even know if the entrance was not supposed to be opened? At most, it is just for one night." The scene shifts to Lu Ngok. He was slowly walking inside the cave. His gaze suddenly fell upon the drawing of several true dragons on the cave wall. He was so frightened by them that he fell backwards. Then, spiritual energy struck down from above, attacking him. Lu Ngok struggled to dodge, completely terrified. He looked at the writing there and was startled. Only those with the ability to suppress the Kwang Long with the Tien La Huyet Vuong may enter the gate of Quan Mon Thap Quan. After reading it, he immediately realized something. Looking down at what he was wearing, he burst out laughing. "I am such a fool. Why was I so startled by an illusion like this?" As the days passed, the illusion became clearer and sharper. A few days later, Lu Ngok was now able to deal with the Kwang Long with ease. He reached out, using his power to suppress it. The figure of the Kwang Long slowly faded away. In the end, it was gathered into his hand. Right after that, he unleashed a palm strike. With that, the 10th gate of the Dia Nguk was also opened. Meanwhile, that man had returned once again, to lie down with his wife. That felt amazing, my dear. How was it for you? His wife, however, was scowling, glaring daggers at him. The man was inwardly puzzled. How strange. Her expression looks as if she is furious. Could I have possibly done something to wrong her? The woman suddenly spoke up. Husband, why did you stop in the middle of your sentence? The man smiled. What could you possibly be talking about? At that very moment, the two of them were startled by a sound and sat bolt upright. The man clutched his head, his face pale. Impossible. How can this be? Seeing this, the woman beside him was also terrified. Husband, why are you acting like this? He is acting like a madman. The man kept shaking his head. The 10 gates open, Huyet Vuong appears. I thought the Ancestor Master's divine skill was just a load of nonsense. This can't be happening. If someone goes in, shouldn't someone also come out? Forcing the mechanism to stop at that time. Was that a mistake? Damn it all. I am going to be in trouble with the Hall Master again. After receiving the report, the Master of Dia Nguch Dien, Vinh Ho convened an emergency meeting. However, the meeting concluded that the incident at the gate, the opening of the 10 gates, was due to a mechanical failure. Time flew and another 3 years went by. It has been over 9 years since the 18 teams entered the Dia Nguchi. Thap Quan, Fong Bok still visited Lu Ngok's room daily. Why have you not returned yet? The Grand Elder is not feeling well. Please come back quickly. Have you ever thought about what you would call me? What a lazy and rotten guy. Please just come back alive. I will grant you anything you wish for. Just then a voice was heard. Is that so? You said you could do anything for me, uncle. Fong Bok, who had just left, returned to the room. Lu Ngok was actually sitting on the bed. Because nearly 15 years had passed, he did not recognize him. Who are you? Lu Ngok smiled. I've already decided what to call you. Could it be? Uncle, don't you want to adopt this son of yours? Fong Bok trembled with emotion. Could you be Ngok Nyi Lu? Ngok waved his hand. Who else could it be? Fong Bok rushed over, touching his body to confirm. Lu Ngok chuckled. I'm a little strange, aren't I? But it's really me. After checking for a while, Fong Bok finally confirmed it. You're such a troublesome kid. What are those clothes? Who in the world wears a snakeskin shirt? You need to change your clothes quickly. And go see the Tai Thuong Nguyen Lao. Go! Fong Bok then turned around and sighed to himself as he walked away. Thanks for coming back alive, kid. He then went to see Truong Tien Kung. When he saw him with his own eyes, he couldn't contain his excitement. Oh my God, are you really back? Lu Ngok clasped his hands and smiled. I'm sorry for being a little late. Truong Tien Kung replied, not a little late, but very late. Lu Ngok thought to himself, he's not wrong. When I first entered, everyone thought it would be about 5 years. Who would have known it would take me 15 years to return? Truong Tien Kung asked again. How far did you go? Lu Ngok answered honestly. Yes, the 10 gates of hell. Model. Truong Tien Kung couldn't believe his ears and asked again. What was that? Which gate did you say you reached? Truong Tien Kung asked for clarification again. Yes, the 10th gate. Truong Tien Kung's eyes went wide. Oh my God. Lu Ngok explained, it was just luck. I was able to get in because someone was pulling tricks at the 7th gate. Truong Tien Kung had a realization. So you entered the 10th gate through the 3rd gate, and not by passing through the 8th and 9th gates. Lu Ngok replied, although I almost died a few times. Perhaps it was because from the very beginning, I entered this place with a mindset prepared for death. That's why I was lucky enough to endure it. Truong Tien Kung laughed cheerfully. Suddenly he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Fong Bok. He hurriedly helped him wipe the blood from his mouth. Truong Tien Kung continued to speak. There is a legend that says, those who enter the final 10th gate will receive a sword. Did you receive it? Lu Ngok replied, I received a sword, drenched in blood and the instructions on how to use it. However, I don't know when I will be able to see its end. What he received from the 10-gate hell were 2 red throwing daggers, a sword, and 5 oral formulas. Hap Dan Chuyen Hoi Vong Laniam Bao, Kong Pa. Truong Tien Kung continued to speak. Besides my identity as the Grand Elder, I have another secret identity. I am the Chief Commander of the Tien Vuong Jiam Sat Len. Let me see the sword you received at the 10th gate. Without a moment of hesitation, Lu Ngok drew the sword at his side. He quickly presented it to him. The old man took the sword, his jaw dropping. My God! Finally, before I die, I have the chance to see this sword. He then unsheathed the sword. Lu Li Huyet Lei, it's truly magnificent. It really lives up to its name. The treasure of Tien Huyet Vuong. Lun Gok continued. I have heard of the name Tien Huyet Vuong, but the old man cut him off. The Thien Vuong Jiam Sat Len was established as an organization, the vanguard of the Tongtu Len, a guard to protect and uphold the laws of the Tien Vuong. However, it had almost no real power. That was because as soon as it was created, the guardian disappeared along with the sword. On that day, Tai Dai Nguyen Lao took Lu Ngok as his disciple and passed on everything he had to Lu Ngok, including the Tien Tam Dao he learned from the Tien Vuong. He gave him something, reminding him, drink it. I have already taken one pill, so taking another would be useless. He then pointed to the secret manual on the table, the martial arts of the Ba Vuong, who was on par with the Tien Vuong, one of the two Vuong. Thien Quang Pa Thien Kong, Ku Amam Hoing Ki, along with Thien, Quang Pach Ninguyet. But I have a request. Help me defeat the Tien Vuong in the name of Ba Vuong. Lun Gok nodded with a determined expression. I will definitely do it, master. And so time passed. On the first day of the 9th month,